It's InGame Live Prime Time here on a wild, wacky, wonderful Wednesday. Yours truly, Scott Wetzel, Dave Sharapan, for the next 2 glorious hours, covering, watching, and more importantly, betting, and most importantly, hopefully making money in the world of sports. Got a lot to get to tonight. We got NHL. We got the father system in play in the NHL. We got a great college basketball angle a little bit later on tonight. The bailout special, if all things go wrong. We have one bailout that's absolutely, no doubt, you just cannot lose. We got the Black Cloud. We got same-game parlays. So we got a lot of college basketball as well. What's going on, Dave? How are you tonight, my friend?
I'm good. We got another night without the NBA, which means we can really focus on the hockey, which I'm good with. I know you're good with. A great slate of college basketball. I'm locked in to Penn State and Illinois right now. Penn State did a little throwback night. They're playing in Rec Hall, the building that I went to watch them play basketball back in the 90s. And it's a bandbox. It's a small gym. It's very loud. Maybe 6,000 people there tonight instead of the big Bryce Jordan Center that's, almost 14,000 at capacity, something like that. So this is fun. 70 to 63, right? 10 minutes to go. Yeah, the whiteout, the white court, the whole thing. Yeah, it's a big night for Penn State grads. So plus we got 7.5. So we're looking to keep it close, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah.
Now, if I told you right now you can lose by 7, but obviously lose, would you take that, or would you say, nope, let's roll the dice, you're going for the outright victory?
I'm good with it. Listen, I want them to win. Believe me, that's great, but I want them to cover more. So if you're asking me to decide between the two, stay within 7.5. That's fine, and we can move on. We got Buffalo, Montreal, 1-0 Montreal after 1. I wore Le Habitant. I got the hat.
Nice.
I got the jersey. I got the whole deal. So we're all in with that. Big hockey game tonight. Bruins and Oilers. There's all kind of things. We got Cam coming up in the back half of the show late. How'd things work out yesterday with the Black Cloud? How'd that work out?
Yeah, the Black Cloud was in full effect. UConn team stinks. I tell you, I can count on one hand how many times I bet them. One hand this year. I can count on one finger how many times I bet them, right? That was last night. Never in a game, Dave. Never. I don't think they posted a line that if you took UConn, you walked away a winner. Lost by 21. I mean, how do you explain that?
Listen, it's one of those perfect storms, right? Everything went right for Creighton. It was a slow start for UConn. They couldn't miss a shot from 3. Guys that averaged 2 points a game got 10. Everybody made buckets. Kalkbrenner played unbelievable defense inside. That was one of his best games I've ever seen him play defensively in the paint. So super impressed with Creighton. The futures didn't move much. It's just they won a game at home. It just happened to be against the number 1 team in the country for the first time ever. But the odds to make the Final Four, you move a little bit. There's a plus on Connecticut. That's fine. Purdue and Houston, still right there. Arizona, apparently Arizona's just going to cruise with the Pac-12 last year and get there. So interesting stuff. Interesting stuff right now with the NCAA.
Yeah. It just kind of puts UConn back on earth. I think people were saying, all right, you know what? They're going. Forget Final Four. They're going back to the championship. They're winning again. They're unbeatable, right? We talked about the odds about them being almost twice as low as the next competitive team. And it just kind of just reminded everybody these are still 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. And they're a good team, obviously, but they're not over the top great. There's no Elvis Hayes on here. There's no Lou Alcindor on this club. They are beatable, and that's kind of what we got reminded last night, I guess.
Listen, I saw Creighton lose in person here at a neutral site game at the Dollar Loan Center to UNLV. They were 10-point favorites, and they lost by almost 20. Then Creighton goes to Connecticut, loses by, 14, something like that. Never competitive, never in the game. Come back, short number, Connecticut, Black Cloud, Connecticut, and Creighton destroys them. It happens. That's why we turn the page and move on. Show up, do the show the next day. You got a pocket full of plays. You got the usual, your Black Cloud tonight. We'll do that at the end of this first hour. We'll have that. A lot of things. The same game parlay.
Same game parlay we did?
Got yesterday?
I tell you, yeah, we should have. That's where I was going to go. We should have won. Well, I shouldn't say that. We hit all except the Nathan McKinnon goal. He didn't score.
Right.
But you know what? You know what he did do? He got an assist on the empty net goal. And maybe like, so what, Scott? Well, that keeps the streak alive. You know, we're at, what are we, 28 down, 15 to go, or whatever it is, 14 to go. All 41 home games. I was a little worried. I saw the score. I play this little game, Dave, with myself, right? I go to the box score. I saw they won 3-1. I knew who the first goal was. I said, all right, I got two goals to play with here. I scroll down slowly. I go past the box score. I go to the goal section. And I see, all right, he didn't score. Then I go back to the top, and I figure out, all right, now did he get an assist, you know? And anyway, long story short, it was like, yeah, right. He got an assist on the empty netter, so his streak, 1 point in every home game, continues. The 17-1 bet is still alive for another day.
Everybody has a way of, like, checking the scores, and we're such creatures of habit, superstitious. You know, if you're really – in this life every day, there's certain ways you do things and you check. Are you one of those guys, like when you play cards or play poker, you slowly check the cards? Is that a slow? You're that guy. Like, just look at the cards, Wetzel. No, you look at one and then you look at the other one. That's you?
That's me. There are times I don't look at the cards. You ever play? Yeah, I know it's stupid, but it's not. It is and it isn't. But this is like the mind of a gambler, right? So, do you ever play Let It Ride in the casinos?
Been a long
Let It Ride?
time. Yeah.
All right. So, what it is basically you get 3 cards, dealer gets 2, and there's your poker hand, and you get paid off on the 5 cards, right? And you need to get a pair of 10s or better. So, I look at the first 2 cards. If I have a pair of 10s or better, I don't look at the third card. I let the dealer turn over his cards, and if he turns over say I had 10s. He turns over a 10. Now I got this extra juice like that. One card I didn't see could be the 4th 10. And 99 times out of 1,000 it's not, but that's the little game I even play with Let It Ride. Believe it or not.
Listen, whatever works, okay? Whatever works for you, do. I'm not here to tell you that that's ridiculous, that's superstitious, that's crazy. But that's Wetzel, and that's what you do. That's fine. Let It Ride's a fun game.
Yeah, I love that game. Got to take a break. You got to get the most juice out of the most bang for your buck. Anyway, we got the Father's Road Trip System in hockey. That's coming up next.
Jokic is the best player in the NBA until proven otherwise. Like, you have that guy on your team, you win 50 games, it's really that simple.
There is voter fatigue, and I think that is the only thing you have to be careful about when you deal with the NBA is there voter fatigue in regards to who should win the MVP? When you look at the odds, and obviously you get, no Halliburton.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8, right? This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8. 6 you lose, 7 you push, 8 you win. So it's going to come down to the end.
And he missed the 3, and they are not going to foul. They're not going to foul. He just drove and scored, though. Oh, they gave up a dunk with 14.1 to go.
InGame Live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
What do we do with the Nets, though? Because this team is hot garbage. I mean, poor Jacques Vaughn. Talk about just wrong place, wrong times.
I mean, the reason that they parted ways with Jacques Vaughn in the first place, this is a team that, yes, they had Kyrie and KD at the beginning of the year last year, but they were still a team that made the playoffs. They were still a team that took the game off the 76ers. And going into the All-Star break, they weren't even in the play-in picture.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
It's been to a sporting event. The atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. It is In-Game Live Prime Time here, just getting underway. Hour number one, Scott Wetzel, Dave Sharapan for the next 2 hours until 10 p.m. Eastern Time. We got Cam Stewart. He's got his great golf picks coming up in hour number two. In the meantime, we got plenty of hockey. We got plenty of college basketball to get to. We got black clouds in action. We got plenty of systems. And I got a basketball winner tonight that just can't lose. It just can't lose. But neither can our SGP little same-game parlay time. All right, let's throw it out there. We're going to go hockey here, Dave. We're going to go headline matchup tonight. The Boston Bruins, my beloved Bruins, at Edmonton against the Oilers. Line suspiciously low, which I want to get your thoughts on here when I'm done. But we're going to grab Edmonton minus 134 against the Bruins. Bruins have lost 5 of 7, all at home since the All-Star break, so they're not playing good hockey at all. Obviously, Edmonton is, so you want to give me Edmonton a low number at minus 134 at home? I'll take it. I won't even go regulation win. Why not with that low of a number? Going to go Connor McDavid, at least 3 shots, minus 250. Guy basically averages 4, almost 4. Bruins can be a little stingy on defense. Not quite as bad this year, though, as in years past. So we'll get that. We'll go with Pasternak, 3 shots for the Bruins. He averages almost 5, so there's no way he's not going to get at least 3, minus 700. But it does bump the price up a little bit. Goal first 5 minutes. We're going to go no, minus 215. And then if we're going to go no goal first 5 minutes, we might as well go under 1.5 goals in the first period. Kind of correlated, obviously, so that is basically even money there, as you see. So add it all up, we got a parlay that's going to pay $637. What do you think?
Well, I mean, you said at the beginning you got a same-game parlay that can't lose. Obviously, it can lose before anybody watching goes, what is this guy talking about? It can lose. Are you worried at all about that first period total being under? The way Edmonton plays, you avoid the first 5. I feel like you went a little bit extra with the first period under.
Yeah, that's the one that boosted it all up to 637. Though. Right. I needed one. Yeah. I could have gone Pasternak 5 shots on goal or McDavid 4. Thinking back, that's probably where I should have done it rather than under 1.5. But I just figured if I'm going to get the first 5. And that really means the first 6 or 7, right? Then maybe I get 1 goal after that.
Sometimes, yeah. First game on the road for Boston, right? Since the All-Star break, like you said, they went 2-5 at home on that 7-game homestand. They got a tough trip Edmonton, then the rest of the Western Canada swing. So they'll get Calgary, Vancouver, and then they get Seattle. Of these 4 games, Wetzel, how many did they win? Like, is this one that you chalked off as one of the losses? They probably beat Calgary, maybe beat Vancouver, lose to Seattle, or vice versa. It's 2-2 on the trip, right?
Yeah, I would think. If you told me 2-2, I'd say okay, that figures. I think they could beat Seattle. I think they could beat Calgary for sure, right? That's Calgary definitely. They've waved the white flag. Although they did beat Winnipeg the other day, but I'm kind of hoping for 3 wins would be great. 6 points, 5 points maybe, 2 wins and a tie, overtime loss in one of those. I'd say 5 points out of the possible 8 would be okay.
5 points would be a successful road trip, right? 8 possible. They get 5. I think they're happy with that. I think they get 4 myself, 2-2. Maybe go an overtime game and, maybe they can win that one. They could get as high as – I don't think they get 8, and I don't think they get 0. So we'll keep an eye on it. This is a great matchup. This is, dare I say, is this a Stanley Cup preview? Would you go that far?
I was going to say.
Could it be?
It could be, but I tell you, the way Florida's playing, I checked this afternoon. Florida was now the favorite. I think they were tied. Let me check FanDuel now. But they had moved into the favorites role. The Florida Panthers, believe it or not, to win it all.
As they should.
That's how much respect they're getting right now.
As they should.
Right? Yeah.
Playing great. Deep team. All 4 lines strong. Getting good goaltending. Tough to play in Florida on their home ice. Super impressed with that team, Wetzel. I think, we got a peek of it last year. I mean, they went in as the 8th seed, beat the Bruins, went all the way to Stanley Cup Finals. They just got beat up physically. They just couldn't finish the deal against Vegas. But they're going to be there the rest of the way. I mean, you got to start looking at the prices to win the East, the prices to win it all, the exactas, all those other matchup bets. I think you got to involve the Florida Panthers.
Yeah. Panthers 8-1, looking at it now. Colorado second choice now, plus 850. They were the first choice as of last night, but that's flipped, and now Edmonton's plus 850 as well. It's one thing about hockey, right? I mean, the favorite is 8-1. That tells me the boys in Vegas really don't know. They really, they're willing to make the favorite 8-1. Look at the other sports. Look at the Boston Celtics, minus 230, right? Not minus, but plus 230, plus 220. Even UConn college basketball. You're right, but hockey, man. We're going to get the Florida Panthers, though, Dave, that, they won the President's Trophy, as you know, 2 years ago, and they pooped out in the first round. So are we going to get that team? Are they going to be exhausted because of all the energy they're exerting? Or are we going to get last year's team that barely made the playoffs but made the Stanley Cup Finals?
It's tough. I think that's an interesting bet because you're betting something that the team that wins it doesn't win the cup. So, do they want to win that? I mean, they want to win as many games as they can and then rest. If you get the President's Trophy, that's great. But what is it worth? Because the ultimate thing is the Stanley Cup. So, I don't know. That's an interesting bet. I mean, could Vancouver back into that at 5-1? There's a couple teams up there that might be worthy of a bet because I think the younger teams are the teams you should look at for that bet, right? The teams that maybe – I mean, why would a team like Florida, their motivation is one thing, get back to the Stanley Cup Finals. Whether we got to, win the President's Trophy or not, we don't care. We did it last year from the 8th spot. We can do it from any spot. So, I don't think I would bet them to win the President's Trophy right now, even though they have the best possible chance because of the number of wins they have.
Yeah. We got in play tonight? We got the Fathers system. Didn't realize this until later in the afternoon. Doing a little I believe it or not, I thought you may have known because it's the Montreal Canadiens Buffalo Sabres game. The Sabres Fathers are on the little 2-game road trip. They are down 2-1 midway through the second period. Get Buffalo plus 164. Now it's not like the Mother though, right? The Mother system is great when the mothers go on the road trip.
Yeah.
The fathers, the fathers are out getting drunk with the son. You might be like a bet against Buffalo.
Bet against.
With the fathers.
Bet against. Down. Yeah. Bet against. Yeah. Columbus and Anaheim tonight. How do you bet this game? Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the odds right there. The odds makers are telling you, good luck. We'll make it just above a pick 'em here. We'll give the Ducks a couple cents for home ice. I think you bet that over if you're going to bet it, but I don't know even what you begin to look at. Looks like Gibson's going for Anaheim. I don't know who the goalie's going for Columbus, but is this a spot where you want to back the dog? I don't feel like you're getting enough to back Columbus in there.
Yeah. The only thing I'll tell you is Anaheim 9-1 last 10 against Columbus. Now everybody beats Columbus, but Anaheim doesn't beat anybody. Yet somehow or another, even they beat Columbus. So is that the angle we ride? I mean,
I don't know. I don't know. We'll figure out all these other props on the other side with this other game. Toronto playing as good a hockey as anybody goes to Arizona. And, man, there's a lot to dive into here. And the boys did a great job with this. So I'll let you get into that after the break. But that price is enormous for Toronto, is it not?
It is, but they're playing great, and Arizona's lost 10 in a row. You know what we say, greatest sports axiom of all time. Winners bet with streaks, losers bet against streaks.
Nikola Jokic is the best player in the NBA until proven otherwise. Like, you have that guy on your team, you win 50 games, it's really that simple.
There is voter fatigue, and I think that is the only thing you have to be careful about when you deal with the NBA is there voter fatigue in regards to who should win the MVP? When you look at the odds, and obviously you get, no Halliburton.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8, right? This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8. 6 you lose, 7 you push, 8 you win. So it's going to come down to the end.
And he missed the 3, and they are not going to foul. They're not going to foul. He just drove and scored, though. Oh, they gave up a dunk with 14.1 to go.
InGame Live, PrimeTime, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
What do we do with the Nets, though? Because this team is hot garbage. I mean, poor Jacques Vaughn. Talk about just wrong place, wrong times.
I mean, the reason that they parted ways with Jacques Vaughn in the first place, this is a team that, yes, they had Kyrie and KD at the beginning of the year last year, but they were still a team that made the playoffs. They were still a team that took the game off the 76ers. And going into the All-Star break, they weren't even in the play-in picture.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
That's been to a sporting event. The atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. In-game live, prime time here on the grid. Scott Wetzel, Dave Sharapan until 10 p.m. Eastern time. We get Cam Stewart in the second hour. We'll do some golf and some hockey with him. Dave and I just breaking down some of the games in the NHL. We'll get to college basketball here in a second. No NBA, obviously still in the All-Star break. Still in the break, which is just ridiculous. It does resume tomorrow with one of our better betting systems, Dave. We've got the coaches fired system in play, which with the Brooklyn Nets we can get to towards the end of the show. But big monster game in the NHL with our, not so much the game itself, with Toronto at Arizona, right? But, oh, by the way, I will tell you, Buffalo tied up Montreal 2-2. So I'm on the Sabres. I did play the father system, even though we kind of joked about going against them with the fathers, getting the players drunk and everything. But I am on the Buffalo tonight. So 2-2. And then we got Flyers in Chicago Blackhawks 1-1.
Yep.
After one with that one. So
we were on a break. It was 2-1, and you brought us back, and it's 2-2.
Right.
So I think we're just getting started with scoring there. If you're looking at this game, you probably want to go over if you haven't already.
Yeah. I would, and they just got it locked up, so maybe we got another goal here.
Here we go. Le Habitant.
Toronto. Biggie here, Toronto and Arizona. This is big, not so much for the game, but I mentioned Arizona, they lost 10 in a row. Right now, Toronto's minus 182, minus 130 if you want to grab them to win in regulation, which is how I bet it. I don't really like laying a goal and a half if I don't have to. And then an over-under is 6.5. But the biggie is they got their win streak extended to 4, going for their 5th straight win is Toronto. They're 8-2 their last 10 games, 15-6-6 on the road. So they really have kind of picked up play over the last 2-3 weeks here. And as I mentioned, in fact, oddly enough, they haven't lost since Morgan Riley got suspended 5 games, which I guess that suspension was upheld today or yesterday. So, and then Arizona's lost 10 in a row before we get to the Austin Matthews stuff. So you betting this one as far as just a straight play on Toronto, or you can take a little flyer with Arizona?
Play. This will be an in-game play. I mean, if you're going to play it, I think you play Toronto in regulation like you did. Hard to lay 180, but Toronto's going to score. Arizona really isn't. So, but it's probably going to be a tight game. 6.5 is a perfect number. So nothing pregame. We'll just keep an eye on it. We'll watch it in game. But you got all these props with this goal scorer prop. This is interesting.
Well, we're live. We are live, Dave. I remember we bet Austin Matthews and the All-Star break to score 15 goals in the month of February, if you remember that, right?
Yep.
28-1 on FanDuel.
Yes.
That's a big, fat, beautiful 28-1 number, right? Took a little flyer. Said, why not? What the fudge? Let's have some fun. It's the All-Star break. Couple of shekels. Don't need much at 28-1.
Right.
Well, lo and behold, the guy has 9 goals in 7 games. Okay. We need 6 more, which is crazy when you consider he's got 9 already, but we still need 6 more in 5 games. The one thing I forgot about, little kicker, is they play Arizona twice, right? We knew that.
Yep.
I forgot Austin Matthews is from Arizona. Grew up a Coyotes fan, if you remember. So he gets extra pumped up to play Arizona, especially tonight, being back in Arizona. He actually does not have a lot of goals. He has like 5, I think, in the 11 games against Arizona, which isn't horrible, but he does have a lot of shot on goals, though. He's got 31 in his last 7 games. Guy averages 4.5 shots on goal. So he definitely tries against Arizona. So he's minus 125, Dave. I mean, how many times do you see a guy minus to score a goal? He's got 7 goals in his last 3 games. I mean, he's as hot as a firecracker, but I don't know if I'm going to lay minus 125 for him to score a goal. That's nuts.
Well, I mean, as the odds, sometimes it's not so much reflective of exactly what's going to happen. It's what people are betting. This is like betting Christian McCaffrey to score a touchdown. I mean, it got to the point where – I was thinking
the exact same thing.
Right?
Exact same thing I was thinking.
Right. You have to make that number a minus to at least maximize the win if he doesn't, or slow down the bleeding if he does. But the interesting thing with this is then to score 2 goals, how do you price it out? To score a hat trick, how do you price it out? Well, there it is. Plus 480 to score 2+. Now we're getting interesting. I know you like the plus monies, and we all do. I do as well. That's a really interesting number. Now, it's crazy because before I moved to Vegas 21 years ago, I did in between the stint in Curacao and Vegas. My travels led me to Scottsdale, Arizona, and I lived in Arizona and was playing in a men's league, and his kids started playing hockey with this kid, Austin Matthews. And it's nuts to think about that, the roller hockey, the ice hockey when he was a little kid. Then I moved here, but his kids and him played together until Austin moved away. Inevitably, you move away to go play big time hockey. But this is a big deal when he comes back. So I don't know the vibe in the building. I still haven't been down there. I'm going to go down and take in a game or two to actually get a feel for this. But this is going to be all Toronto fans. This is going to be all Toronto people and Austin Matthews' extended family. I like your chances. Can we get a hat trick tonight? On top of all this with this good bet that you made, it's leap year. You got an extra day. The 29th of February is that last game. Wetzel, you're smarter. As good looking as you are, you're even smarter than that. You took a prop with an extra day and an extra game. This will be fun. This will clean up everything. This will start the 28-1 to start the year in February. That's gonna put a lot of shekels in the bank account. You can get the car fixed, the oil changed, and a set of new tires. Perfect.
Yeah. How about that? I may even buy the old lady some flowers. How about that if that 28-1 hits? Maybe not. Let's not get too crazy. Let me refrain on that. I'll say hello when I walk in at night. Yeah. We got a shot, but we need another hat trick. Right? I mean, asking for 3 hat tricks in a 2-week span here is asking for a lot.
Hat trick would be great, but a 2 is good. Speaking of a 2, it's 89-82. Illinois has the ball. 50 seconds left at Penn State. I'm sweating this one down to the end. We need a miss and then a make, and then we'll be good. We got the miss, and we got the rebound. Wetzel, we're in good shape. Get us back to some college basketball at 3. We got a 3.
You got the make. You got it.
We're down 4. Down 4, 35 seconds to go. That was good. What did Coach say about this basketball situation? We got a quote from the coach. You got to play.
Well, if you've seen the St. John's, it's been a rough year. They showed a lot of promise early on. I'll set it up real quickly. But they've blown a ton of leads, halftime leads. They have 6 games they've been leading in the Big East at the half that they've lost, including this past Sunday against Seton Hall, in which they had a 19-point lead at home. Rivalry, Seton Hall's in New Jersey, St. John's in New York, right? So that set Rick Pitino, head coach of St. John's, off, saying that his kids, they're nice kids, but they're not any good. They're unathletic. This is the worst team I've ever coached. This is the least fun I've ever had. Even when he said he even brought up his days as a Boston Celtic head coach when they were awful. He said he had more fun then than he's having right now, but it is what it is. I couldn't recruit. I signed on late, so we're kind of stuck with who we have. I mean, that's verbatim, basically. I'm not, paraphrasing, but that's in essence what he said, right? So Coach James Young, our good buddy here, comes on from time to time on Coast to Coast. 2 days ago, actually, talked. Yesterday. I talked about the Rick Pitino comments.
My problem with Rick is this. I don't even mind that you trash the facilities that you're trying to bring up. I don't think it's a good idea for you to play at UBS Arena. I mean, where the Islands are, because God knows I just had fun dealing with the Belt Parkway on Sunday. That was a train wreck, and it wasn't even bad getting out there. But to me, you got to focus on building your program. And I think what my problem is when you go after kids in the media. Now I know people like they're NIL, they're paid. It don't matter, folks. These are 18 to 22-year-old boys. They're not real grown men. They can't handle it. Do what Shaheen Holloway did, which I know he did after. You get them in practice and you tear them apart. But then you tell them how to fix it privately. And then publicly, you say, hey, we weren't ready to play. We weren't tough enough. I have to fix it. And then go kick their ass in practice the next couple of days. That's what I would have done if I was Rick Pitino.
But instead, Pitino sounded off. Little different nowadays. You know, the problem with that thinking is, Dave, I got the sense like he doesn't want these kids around. You know, and I know it used to be that if you had a kid transfer, you lost that scholarship. Until that kid actually graduated, that you didn't have that scholarship. I don't think the rules are like that anymore. I think if a kid transfers now, especially with all the transfer rules, you get that scholarship back. So I think this is his way of telling these kids, you know what? There's the door. I don't want you around anymore. And don't forget, he did do that. When he got this job, remember, he kicked all the St. John players out from last year out. Said, I don't want you here.
Yeah.
See you later. You suck. So I think he's doing the same thing.
There's plus 390 to make the tournament. Good luck with that. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, really.
But, you know, that's not the best way to motivate team. Minus 650 to miss the tournament. Sometimes laying 650, you know, it seems painful. It seems wrong. It seems this. But sometimes it's what the line should be, or it's even should be higher. So 650 can be a good bet. I'm with Coach, though. Like, you know, I've coached now for a decade, and you criticize privately, you praise publicly, and you figure it out. So Penn State's down 2 points, 27 seconds to go.
Now you got to worry about overtime.
Oh!
Nikola Jokic is the best player in the NBA until proven otherwise. Like, you have that guy on your team, you win 50 games, it's really that simple.
There is voter fatigue, and I think that is the only thing you have to be careful about when you deal with the NBA is there voter fatigue in regards to who should win the MVP? When you look at the odds, and obviously you get, no Halliburton.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8, right? This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8. 6 you lose, 7 you push, 8 you win. So it's going to come down to the end.
And he missed the 3, and they are not going to foul. They're not going to foul. He just drove and scored, though. Oh, they gave up a dunk with 14.1 to go.
InGame Live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR listed zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
What do we do with the Nets, though? Because this team is hot garbage. I mean, poor Jacques Vaughn. Talk about just wrong place, wrong times.
I mean, the reason that they parted ways with Jacques Vaughn in the first place, this is a team that, yes, they had Kyrie and KD at the beginning of the year last year, but they were still a team that made the playoffs. They were still a team that took the game off the 76ers. And going into the All-Star break, they weren't even in the play-in picture.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
That's been to a sporting event. The atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in-game live. Oh, no overtime. Wow. How about that? In-game live prime time here. Just watching the final seconds of Illinois and Penn State, and by Dave's reaction, you think you know what happened there. How about that, Dave? How about that?
We're off the rundown. Sorry, Jack.
Wow.
Sorry, everybody who's watching. We're off the rundown for a minute. They had the game in rec hall. The line was too high. What a comeback. Storm the court. You beat the 12th team in the country. That's fine. Second best in the Big Ten. That's fine. We are Penn State. Look at the crew jumping. This is so much fun. Listen, when their football team's good, that's one thing. And the football team is usually pretty good. But when the basketball team at a football school gets a big win like that, second top 15 win at home this season, they should play all the games at Rec Hall. Stop going to the big building. Bring it back. I saw them beat Indiana there back in the day, the first year of the Big Ten in 1993. I saw them lose to Purdue. I saw them lose to Michigan State. I saw them lose to Michigan in the Fab Five. But this is fun. They're still not going to make the tournament, I don't think. But, man, this could be a momentum swing here. This is fun. That was a big comeback. They were down the whole game. They were down 7 at halftime, getting 7.5. Got as high as, I think they were plus 11. So, all right, get us back on the rails. That was exciting. Thank you for letting me celebrate that. That was fun.
Wow. They were down like 7 with about a minute left, too, right? When you said they were down 7, and not much more than a minute left, right? And they came all the way back.
They finished the game on I believe it was a 9-0 run. So that's, that happens. The press, they got the ball to steal, they got a foul, missed shot, come down, fouled on a 3, makes all 3. Big parties tonight at Penn State. Oh, man, that's State College and College Avenue and that play. Oh, man, those nights are fun. I remember the Atlantic 10 days. I'm so old when Penn State played basketball in Atlantic 10 with Rutgers. And, like the basketball wasn't great. UMass, Temple. Like it was Calipari. Mark Macon. Came in there, destroyed Penn State. Yeah, I saw some really good basketball games. But I was telling Jack on the break, the tickets were free. All we had to do was show our IDs. Like, it was student IDs back then that got us in. So I went to all the basketball games. I was playing hockey. If I didn't have a hockey game or something, went to watch basketball. I went to wrestling meets. I went to volleyball matches. My bowling 1 and 2 teacher was Russ Rose. He's one of the best all-time women's volleyball coaches ever. And, he taught me how to throw almost a 200 average that semester. And he said, Dave, why don't you come to the games? Sat right in the front row, watched in these volleyball games. It was awesome. I had such a great experience with the sports and stuff at Penn State. So that's a big win. I'm getting texts right now. Rec Hall, fun times. All the Penn State guys that are old just remember how much fun it was. And listen, my second year of school was sophomore year. They went to the second round. They beat UCLA. And half my dorm didn't even know the game was being played. I was going crazy. I'm like, Penn State just beat UCLA. They're like, so what? It's basketball. You don't know if you don't know, but that's a big win. That's fun. Yeah.
I'll tell you another example of sometimes don't rip up your tickets, unless you really know the score, because I'm looking on the 4-letter network. And it doesn't really affect the line or anything along those lines. But, they have Penn State winning 89-87. It was 90 to 89. They won by 1. So it's just another example. This year, Dave, I don't know what it is, and I've had a lot of people say the same thing. Like, there have been so many mistakes on these scoreboards. It was so rare when it used to. You saw it even on a website or whatever. That was legit. But nowadays, all the time, I find like once every week I find a score that's not right that they post. I don't know if they got a bunch of kids or something that's screwing up. But again, it doesn't affect the point spread they won. But This time it doesn't, but maybe the next time it will. And you got a ticket and you think it's a loser, or maybe FanDuel or whatever, goes by this site and they see it as a loser when it's really a winner. So you really do have to double check your ticket.
You got to double check everything. The problem is like a lot of things, everything's automated. Everything's, artificial intelligence. And it just puts it in, grades it as a final. Good thing about the book, Scott, is that at least in Nevada, we always had to have 2 confirmed sources before we actually posted a score. So, when we were running the in-game, we had it. We were watching it a lot of times. You wait for the final. You wait to see if they change it. Then you confirm it at 2 places behind you. So it was very rare where we graded something in the book that was a wrong score. But, for people that just have, apps and different things like that, yeah, sometimes you got to be sure before you actually, rip up tickets and do it. Don't rip up tickets. Just crumple them up and throw them away. A lot of people love to rip up tickets. Ripping up the ticket, then having to put it back together again, it's the worst jigsaw puzzle ever. I had to do it on a regular basis. Had to help people pick the pieces out of the garbage can at times. The paper tickets, don't do that. Yeah, don't do that. I just got a text from Papa Jack, a Penn State grad. Over 80 points gets you dominoes at Penn State. So dominoes for everybody. I mean, it's a big night. Can you imagine the college kids, everybody there, dominoes if they get over 80? Dominoes off the charts tonight in State College.
There's a couple of schools that are doing stuff like that now. Like I saw last night with or 2 nights ago, Virginia Tech, and some other school I saw it earlier in the week as well. I forget which one it was, Colorado State or one of those. If a kid misses 2 free throws in a row, everyone gets, in the case of Virginia Tech, bacon. I don't know if they got packages of bacon that they're going to hand out to everybody when they walk out of the arena. Okay. You get a coupon for a free, Applewood or whatever is sponsoring his bacon. But, kid misses 2 free throws, so they're all excited after the kid misses the first free throw, right? And then they go bonkers when the kid misses the second free throw because they're getting free bacon.
Listen, you were a poor college kid one day. I remember those days. Listen, Domino's Pizza tonight in Penn State, big. Bacon, who doesn't like bacon? I mean, missed 2 free throws, we're getting bacon. Bacon, that's it. Breakfast, lunch, or dinner, you can have bacon on anything. So that works. That's a good promotion. I like that. I like it a lot.
It is the universal food, right? You can have a breakfast, obviously, lunch, dinner, a little bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich.
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Bacon's good on pretty much
This is my luck. This is my luck when it comes to gambling. And I have this running joke on the podcast here, right? So there were 2 games. I put in a bunch, but there were 2 I was kind of waffling. I was going to go with Penn State at home, getting 7.5, right, against Illinois.
Okay.
Did I go with that one? No, didn't go with that one.
By the sound of your voice, I'm going to go no.
Yeah,
What'd you do?
Good
you
perception.
didn't take Miami. You did not take Miami against Dookie.
Bingo! That's the one I took.
You got up against them Dookie Bukies. You've been calling them Duke. I knew it. Peralt did the same thing on Bostonian versus the book, which will be on later tonight after Gabe and Cam. You'll see the replay. He did the same thing. I said, don't fall for it. Somebody's hurt, blah, 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 blah. There's no real big home court advantage here. Don't do it. He did it. You did it. Listen, that's what happens. Sometimes people root against Duke. You can't make it personal. You did that. That's fine. All right, move on from that. That's enough of Duke talk. They're going to win. They're going to cover. They're blowing them out. What is it, 67-42, late second half? Yeah. That's fine. Kentucky, LSU. You could come back with this one. The spread's about the same, right? Kentucky and LSU, 6.5, depending where you shop. We hit 5.5 when we put the graphic together. 162.5. Wetzel, Kentucky off a really big win last week. This nice home win. Dog, yes, right?
Yeah.
Maybe, no.
Yeah, to beat up on Auburn. Yeah, right?
Right.
So,
yeah.
So do we go with, I don't know, are you telling me should we go with LSU or should we go with Kentucky?
Dog
LSU?
I think dog. Yeah. That line's screaming out the same thing to me. Yeah.
Yeah, because the chance of Kentucky winning back-to-back road games. right? And every team that plays Kentucky, this is their national championship. So you're going to get the A effort out of LSU tonight. So,
well, just with the big emotional win, I mean, let's talk it through like we did yesterday with Connecticut having to go to Creighton was a situation. It's the same type thing. The teams, the patterns, the things you see in this business over and over and over and over. This is one of those spots. I think it's a play on the home dog. I really do. So, well, that's coming up here, bottom of the hour, top of the hour. When you do 6 o'clock, it's the top of the hour.
Right.
The other game, in the SEC, Mississippi State, tough game. I don't know what to do with that game. I mean, that's another 6.5. What happens in February in the book is really interesting. You start to get around either, 2 or 3 for the small digit spreads or you get around 6, 6.5, 7, which is 2 possessions with the 3s, or it hovers around 9.5, 10, which is, 3 possessions. Any feel for this game at all? The Egg Bowl on the court.
The egg, yeah, exactly. Speaking of bacon, right? Now they should have that promotion, right? Egg bowl, bacon, dozen eggs. Get yourself some breakfast for the next week. Yeah, I like Mississippi State. They lost to Ole Miss early this year. Mississippi State's really kind of dominated this series. I don't think they're going to lose 2 in a row to Ole Miss, so they're at home. I'm going to lay a little pricey. I was kind of hoping this would be 3, 4.5, not necessarily 6.5, but I'm not going to let that scare me off. I like the Bulldogs.
Okay.
What about you?
No real opinion on this game. Just kind of going to sit and wait and see. Under, I think under. What do you got? 140.5. Let me click my screen. Yeah, lean under. No real opinion on the side. We got hockey. We got to focus on. Let me get back to the hockey. Your dad's trip. Sabres scored right before the period. They're up 3-2. I feel like I got away with one with Penn State. I now I'm okay. I guess if the Canadians don't win, but I thought they were live. Flyers up 2-1. 8 minutes left in the second period. We got to look at that. Did you hear the story about Xavier coach Sean Miller is done deal to Ohio State? Did you hear that today?
No.
Weird situation.
For college basketball, obviously. Really?
Yeah. Heard that story right before we came on, and Xavier. Did they play today? I think did they? I'm not sure. Let me see. I gotta find it.
Providence. Providence. Or was that yesterday?
Tough game.
No, I think today.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
so is that an anti? Should we go against Xavier? Little distraction? Rumors?
I don't know. You got to look at these teams to make the tournament now at this point. I think that affects them, no?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That affects them.
It would have to. So, I got a big play on Longwood versus UNC Asheville I want to bring up. Believe it or not, yes.
Nikola Jokic is the best player in the NBA until proven otherwise. Like, you have that guy on your team, you win 50 games, it's really that simple.
There is voter fatigue, and I think that is the only thing you have to be careful about when you deal with the NBA is there voter fatigue in regards to who should win the MVP? When you look at the odds, and obviously you get, no Halliburton.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8, right? This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8. 6 you lose, 7 you push, 8 you win. So it's going to come down to the end.
And he missed the 3, and they are not going to foul. They're not going to foul. He just drove and scored, though. Oh, they gave up a dunk with 14.1 to go.
InGame Live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
What do we do with the Nets, though? Because this team is hot garbage. I mean, poor Jacques Vaughn. Talk about just wrong place, wrong times.
I mean, the reason that they parted ways with Jacques Vaughn in the first place, this is a team that, yes, they had Kyrie and KD at the beginning of the year last year, but they were still a team that made the playoffs. They were still a team that took the game off the 76ers. And going into the All-Star break, they weren't even in the play-in picture.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
It's been to a sporting event. The atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Welcome back. It is InGame Live, Prime Time. Wrapping up hour number one of our 2-hour extravaganza. Got Wetzel and Dave Sharapan right up until 10 p.m. Eastern Time. We got hockey. We got college basketball. Got a little same-game parlay out there already. You got a bunch of games in college basketball that will be starting, and obviously plenty that are underway. So close out the hour with our little black cloud action tonight. How about that? Yes, a little black cloud action. We're going to go to the hottest team, well, one of them anyway, in the National Hockey League. Big matchup with the Toronto Maple Leafs playing at the Arizona Coyotes. Toronto red hot, going for their, fifth straight win. Arizona ice cold, 10 straight losses. And it's the greatest sports axiom of all time. Winners bet with streaks, losers bet against streaks. I don't care where they're playing, why they're playing, how they're playing, or who they're playing. We're going to go against Arizona. And it's, oh, by the way, Toronto playing well. And you got Austin Matthews, who's red hot. And he's going back home to where he grew up. And he was a Coyotes fan. So you got to go the Toronto Maple Leafs. We won't lay the big odds. We'll go minus 130, win in regulation. 9 of the 10 Arizona losses in this streak have come in regulation. So don't worry about going to overtime. Give me Toronto, Dave, minus the 130. What do you think?
Well, now that you said it out loud and said that it doesn't matter where they're playing or who they're playing, and they could be playing on the moon, on Mars, and the desert, and all the above. Leafs are 8-2 in their last 10. Yep. 0-9-1 for the Coyotes. I like it, but if this goes to overtime, I already know this will be the black cloud result. Leafs win in overtime. That's the way you're going to lose tonight. That's the way.
Yeah.
It's the only way.
But I'm okay with that. Like I'll still consider that a lost bet. Like I don't worry. Like, okay, went to overtime, you won. You would have bet it regular. Yeah, but I didn't think that. I thought they were going to kill him. So why? It'll be a loss. No problem. Hour number 2 coming up.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome in to InGame Live Primetime, hour number 2 on this wonderful Wednesday. Scott Wetzel, Dave Sharapan for another 60 minutes. Looking and betting on the world of sports. We got hockey, we got college basketball to get to. We got Cam Stewart with some golf stuff with the Mexico Open starting tomorrow. He has all our picks coming up in about 40 minutes or so. So back to the board we go. Dave dressed out in his nice Montreal Canadiens. Now it's blue. I'm used to seeing Canadians with the purple. But that works just the same. We got a couple of hockey games going on, Dave, a bunch of college basketball. So for the new viewers, listeners, what's on your plate so far tonight?
Well, we're rooting for the Canadians to come back against the Sabres. That would get it to 3-3, which would then get us over 6.5. So that's what we need there. Flyers 3-1 over the Blackhawks. The Flyers much better than people expected. The Blackhawks going south, not almost as bad as the Coyotes, which we'll have later. Penn State just won a game outright as a 7.5-point dog to Illinois. I'm still excited about that. And then right after that game rolled into Nebraska and Indiana. And there's a lot of red in that game. There's a lot of I love the candy striped pants of Indiana, but I really like Nebraska plus the points. So we're up 35-21 there. That's good. Got a couple college basketball games that just tipped if you want to touch on those. But that's it, man. We got a lot of things happening right now. It's just people talking about, there's no NBA. What are you going to do? We'll find something to do. We got a lot to do.
Yeah, we're fine without the NBA. That's okay. We'll make do. In fact, hockey and college basketball did a good job this week. Like hockey had 8 games yesterday, 5 today. I think they had 8 or 9 actually on Monday. So they picked up the slack here, and college basketball's had a pretty good week as well. So sure. I'm trying to push this Florida-Alabama game. I got 85-83. I grabbed the over at the beginning of the night at 174. So I'm at 168, 51 seconds left. It's got to be close.
I think you're good.
It goes to overtime. You think? Yeah?
I think you're going to make it. Yes. I think you're going to make it.
Oklahoma State was getting 10 today.
Georgetown. What's that?
Yeah. I said Oklahoma State was a 10.5-point underdog in Cincinnati today. I've
How
noticed
bad is Oklahoma State?
They're pretty bad, but they're winning. Like, I don't think they should have been a 10.5-point road dog. Like, these lines to me in college basketball, the second half of the season especially, all seem to be like 2 to 3 points higher. Like, even Florida was a 9.5-point underdog at Alabama. They're nationally ranked, and I'm getting almost double digits with them. So
you're seeing it more on the home teams. You're seeing a little bit extra.
Definitely.
Well, because we're paying attention to it. Odds makers and books are too, that it's really hard to win on the road in college basketball. It had January. It was really tough. There was a lot of teams that were the better ranked team, the better perceived team losing on the road. Starts to catch up a little bit. The pendulum's swinging back. I mean, you pay the tax for laying the points with home teams. As they continue to cover, power ratings get adjusted. Instead of being 6.5, 7, it's 8.5, 9. And that's how you end up. You got a game in the Mountain West tonight. Look at that game. Colorado State is coming up against New Mexico, 7 o'clock Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern. 7.5 is the spread. That's a lot, but
that's high.
I don't know if you've heard this before, Scott. Stop me. But the Pit is a really tough place to play. Have you heard that?
I think I've heard that. Yes, I have. And you got the unranked home team favored over the ranked road team system in that one as well. Yeah. That's another one. But they're making it harder and harder, right? The bet, it came through last night with Utah State, But that was only a 2.5 or so point spread against San Diego State.
Right.
Like tonight, 7.5. It's like, wow. I mean,
Yeah.
how far do you trust the system? That's a lot of points.
Listen, you're the system guy. You at some point when you got a system, sometimes you blindly play it. That's fine.
Yeah.
But other times, when you pick and choose a system, then it's not really a system; it's a broken system. So, I think if you're going to stick to it, stick to it. If not, what do you make of the Mountain West? Mountain West is getting a lot of love from a lot of people nationally, and we're talking like 6 teams could make it to the tournament out of the Mountain West. Surprising? Or is any one of these teams? I mean, San Diego State got to the final last year. That was kind of a surprise for a lot of people. But the conference has played pretty competitive basketball at the top.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to get 6, but I know they talked about that, right? Utah State, Boise State, San Diego State, Nevada, Colorado. That's New Mexico would be 6 at 20-6.
Right?
They might get 6. Yeah, depending on what the other conferences do. Yeah, they actually might. I enjoy,
Did you say UNLV?
I get home late from work.
I didn't hear UNLV in there. Did you say UNLV?
No, but that's one of the main plays tonight. You know who UNLV is playing tonight?
Air Force.
You know how many wins Air Force has in their last 16 games?
I believe 1.
Yes. 1. You want to know who that one team is that UNLV or that Air Force beat?
I mean, you can tell the listeners and the viewers. I know, but go ahead and tell them.
UNLV.
Yeah.
And they won by 32 points. I know because I had UNLV that night, I swear. So they have 1 win in their last 1-15. They're atrocious. They're 1-11 in conference play, and the 1 win day was at UNLV by double-dip monster, right? 32 points. You got to believe UNLV has circled the calendar, right? When that game, I don't know what happened that game outside of me losing my bet, but you got to believe that team circled the calendar and said, we can't wait. They got to be chomping at the bit to get back at this team. This is one of those, great, rare betting systems. Forget about the teams and everything else, but UNLV's pretty good. Not great, but pretty good. Good enough where they got to be chomping. If they don't beat Air Force tonight by double digits, I'd be shocked. I really would.
What if they lose outright?
Then they're dead to me. Then I'll never bet them for the rest of my life.
There was talk.
Can't lose outright.
That was a disaster game. Local press here, they were like, they're talking about firing the coach. There was a lot of bad things that night. No, including you losing that bet. But, that was a bad game. So they need this game. They got to win this game. Speaking of got to win.
They have to.
It's 85-85, Florida, Alabama. Going to overtime. 5 minutes.
Nice. Yeah, see that? Every once in a while. You just wanted to break out even. That's all. Just let me break even every once in a while. It's a beautiful thing.
Nikola Jokic is the best player in the NBA until proven otherwise. You have that guy on your team, you win 50 games, it's really that simple.
There is voter fatigue, and I think that is the only thing you have to be careful about when you deal with the NBA is there voter fatigue in regards to who should win the MVP? When you look at the odds, and obviously you get, no Halliburton.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8, right? This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8. 6 you lose, 7 you push, 8 you win. So it's going to come down to the end.
And he missed the 3, and they are not going to foul. They're not going to foul. He just drove and scored, though. Oh, they gave up a dunk with 14.1 to go.
InGame Live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
What do we do with the Nets, though? Because this team is hot garbage. I mean, poor Jacques Vaughn. Talk about just wrong place, wrong times.
I mean, the reason that they parted ways with Jacques Vaughn in the first place, this is a team that, yes, they had Kyrie and KD at the beginning of the year last year, but they were still a team that made the playoffs. They were still a team that took the game off the 76ers. And going into the All-Star break, they weren't even in the play-in picture.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
That's been to a sporting event. The atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's InGame Live, prime time here on a Wednesday. Cha-ching, cha-ching, 90-85. Alabama leading Florida as the game goes over the 174, maybe even 174 and a half in overtime. Yes, it is a beautiful thing. Feel bad for the unders,
not to
but
worry. Don't worry.
Yeah,
just relax.
in the bag the whole time. Did
No
lose
question.
a couple of upsets here, by the way, in college basketball, including Longwood beating UNC Asheville. Sometimes I just put games in. UNC Asheville is was 11-2 in the Big South. First place, best team in the conference. Longwood was 4-8 in the Big South. One of the worst teams. I'm getting the game at 1.5, right? I go to log in to put the bet in, and it's down to pick 'em. Pick 'em, right? A sure sign, Dave. Stay the F away, right?
Absolutely.
I got a lousy line, and it got even worse. But I got the first place team against one of the worst teams. I pick 'em. How many people are going to the game? 200 at Longwood. They lose.
I don't know.
Longwood wins
The place
80-75.
It's a nice campus. I mean, they got a big crowd. I don't know, but it's a lesson. I never really experienced this until I came to Vegas, started coming to Vegas, when a line would change right at the window. And I learned from coming here to visit before I even started working in books, just pass. Whatever it is, just pass. You go up and you think you're going to lay 6 and it's 7. You go, no, I'm good. Back away, come back in line, sit down, think about it. Never accept the new line. And I used to tell people that when I was working at the counter. You're going to be mad either way. Like if you didn't get the number you were looking for, you're going to inevitably, if you lay 7 instead of 6, it's going to fall 6. And you would have pushed. Now you're going to lose. Or you get a dog that you don't take, you pass, and you go, they lose by 4, and you were getting 3 because it moved. Don't do it. So just that. I can't believe you went with it. I can't believe you still went with it. Must have really liked Long.
And it was a bad line to begin with, right? I mean, why would the first place team be basically pick 'em? I mean, That's happened. That happens a lot. Again, especially this year, right? Dayton lost tonight, right? You said
George
what was the
Mason,
score now? What the final score? Yeah, George
70 to
Mason.
67.
Stinks this year.
They lose by 3.
Yeah.
Small favorites on the road again. These conferences are hard. It gets harder. It doesn't get easier. So what are they? 16th in the country, 67-71 they lost. So they lost by 4. And they're a team that when Dayton had that year, it was the COVID year, they were 200-1 at the beginning of the season. I'll never forget it. And people started betting them at the book. It's like, what's going on? Why are they betting Dayton? Well, they just started winning games early. Won all the out-of-conference games, ran through the conference, and then when the conference tournament starts, that's when the world stopped, and they never got a chance to play in that NCAA. Got canceled. Big East tournament was the last game that anybody even started or played, and that was it. But I don't know. This year, the expectations for Dayton are probably a little bit high. Is that a team you'd consider taking a flyer on to, like, make the Final Four or, actually have a shot at winning? Because there's teams like that I know people bet, but they're not going to win the whole thing, right? They can't.
Not the whole thing. Maybe Final Four, though. I mean, listen, when you get teams like Florida Atlantic, Princeton last year made a run, obviously. You never know, right? You say, like, nah, it's not going to happen. But you get some goofy team that no one's paying attention to. That's good. Don't get me wrong. But, they're not, going undefeated. You get on these runs, you win a couple of games, and boom, you're right there. That momentum builds.
It's probably a little too close to Jack's heart, but the St. Peter's run was fantastic. That was so much fun. They win the first game, and you think, okay, they can't win the second game. They win the second game. The Cinderella stories are great when they survive the first weekend. If you get to the Elite Eight and you're holding the ticket to get to the Final Four, you can hedge that back, on the other side, lock up money on teams like that. So it's harder to do right now and try to find those shots. But when the tournament comes, the bracket comes out Selection Sunday, you got basically 72 hours to find those paths and teams to make the Final Four. Those bets are so much fun. I've seen people in the books sweat so many different bets, the first to 10, the first to 15. Those are groups of guys just screaming and yelling at the TV on the dog to get there because that's the only way they're going to win money on that bet. But when those teams survive and get to the second weekend, it is so much fun. There's not much better rooting for in a sports book than that.
Yeah. When you get all those games going on at the same time and everything, it is kind of cool. It's definitely – and there's so many pools that you can have in college basketball, right? Yeah.
It's the best. Listen, run this by the wife. Me and Peralt got a live show at the Resorts World. First 2 days of March Madness. Got discount specials on the room. You can come hang out with us. Listen, fly out Wednesday. We'll have you back for dinner on Saturday, okay? Come on out. Come on, hang out with us. We're going to have a big watch party. First 2 days of the tournament. We'll hook you up. I'll get you some nice meals. You can hang out, watch basketball at the book. It's going to be a blast. So just put that out there. Run that by the wife. You got a month in advance. Try to get Jack to come out. Jack's last trip to Vegas ended pretty well. He might be able to do it. We'll get the boys all together. Yeah. It ended
Jack
very well.
might be able to pay for all of us the way his casino trip went, apparently.
Listen, Jack has credit with me. Jack has carte blanche. Jack just has to show up. I'll pick up his checks. He'll be fine. Just got to get that kid on another roll. Listen, if Jack gets on close to the roll that he was on, he'll go back. We'll have to call him Fat Jack, not because he's fat, but because his pockets are. It was pretty good. Yeah. So keep that in mind.
Cool.
There's nothing better. I think this is the fun of talking about all this stuff right now, right? I love the February basketball leading up to the tournament weeks because you have so many different betting opportunities and you see so many things that I think you don't normally see, especially in the conference play. So I don't know. I can't wait. It's going to be even I think it's more wide open this year than it has been, right? We saw Connecticut lose yesterday, but like when you look at those boards of teams to win it all, how deep do you go? Do you go 10 deep?
At least. I mean, you got some great teams. 25 to, well, I say great as far as at least name value anyway. I mean, you got Kansas, Kentucky at 25 to 1. I mean, you got
Right.
the Dookie Pukies with 30 to 1, if memory serves me right. I mean, you got some like real great blue blood programs at monster odds. So you have to always include them, in addition to all the other teams that are ahead of them. So
You're not going to bet the Dookie Pukies, though. You just won't do it. I mean, you had Miami tonight. You're not going to bet the Dookie Pukies. You can't do it.
No, I won't do it.
You won't do it.
No, I had a guy bump up to my highest level on the podcast, and I promised him I wouldn't bet Duke. So as long as he's a $50 member, I can't bet Duke. So I promised the black cloud would be taken off them. So
oh no,
Duke fans, Jeff in New York is taking one for the team. He's going to pay the $50, and I can't bet Duke. So when they win it all, thank Jeff in New York.
Ridiculous.
Oh
boy.
Tell you what.
Okay.
Indiana basketball stinks these days. Wow, not many times you can say the Indiana Pacers are better than the Indiana Hoosiers, but that is the case today. You'll take a break, we'll come back. Boy, they're down 14 against Nebraska at home.
Yes.
Wow, they are just awful. Poor Mike Woodson, third year at Indiana. Big number
Not
there.
happening.
Kentucky's underway. Good battle with LSU. We got Ole Miss and Mississippi State underway. Mississippi State up 10 early on. Look at all the line. We come back to the game live. Bye,
Nikola Jokic is the best player in the NBA until proven otherwise. Like, you have that guy on your team, you win 50 games, it's really that simple.
There is voter fatigue, and I think that is the only thing you have to be careful about when you deal with the NBA is there voter fatigue in regards to who should win the MVP? When you look at the odds, and obviously you get, no Halliburton.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8, right? This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8. 6 you lose, 7 you push, 8 you win. So it's going to come down to the end.
And he missed the 3, and they are not going to foul. They're not going to foul. He just drove and scored, though. Oh, they gave up a dunk with 14.1 to go.
InGame Live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
What do we do with the Nets, though? Because this team is hot garbage. I mean, poor Jacques Vaughn. Talk about just wrong place, wrong times.
I mean, the reason that they parted ways with Jacques Vaughn in the first place, this is a team that, yes, they had Kyrie and KD at the beginning of the year last year, but they were still a team that made the playoffs. They were still a team that took the game off the 76ers. And going into the All-Star break, they weren't even in the play-in picture.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
That's been to a sporting event. The atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's in-game live, prime time. Moving along here on a Wednesday evening. Scott Wetzel, Dave Sharapan until 10 p.m. Eastern time. We got Cam Stewart joining us in about 15 minutes or so. We'll go over some hockey with him. He's got his Mexico Open golf picks for sure, and always have some fun with Cam. So just looking at some of the stuff on the board here. Hockey 3-2. Buffalo still leading Montreal, Dave. You got 5 minutes to get that equalizer to force that seventh goal to go over. So not looking good, but you still got time. It is Buffalo. And then we got the Philadelphia 3-1 over the Blackhawks. That was an interesting line with that one. That was 6.5. The total was minus 140. And I knew that would drop to 5.5. So that was the rare time where I said, you know what? In hockey with over-unders, it's worth that extra goal. One goal is a lot in hockey. So, to me, 6.5 minus 140 was a much better bet than 5.5 plus odds. So, and I'm glad I did, because now it's, we got 4 goals, but at least now I got 2 to give up. So.
Oh, you were betting under.
Under. Oh, yeah, under. Got to bet under in the Blackhawk game. Got to bet under.
Yeah. It's a new thing now with the games that are borderline 6.5, 7, to put the 6.5 with big juice instead of 7 with the under juice. A lot of times you'll see that 6.5 over minus 140, 6.5 over minus 145. I don't know. Back in the day, the Louis DeLips and everybody and this stuff, how I was trained in this business and learned this business. Who wants to lay 45 on a total? Like, the benefits of betting the totals is that you never really lay more than a quarter. Like, maybe 6.5 over minus 130, or in a baseball game in the summer when baseball starts. You might be stuck on a number like 7 with a good pitching matchup, and you go 7 under minus 130 before you have to get off the 7 and go to the 6.5. I don't know. New thing. This is the way the books go. They leave it on that number and just move the juice. The in-game numbers are crazy. We've been on this show and seen under 5.5 minus 250. Like, it's just that the algorithm, the computer rolls it. They're not moving that number. The juice gets to 250, then the number moves. So, yeah, you're in good shape. You should be in good shape with that 6.5 at the Philly and Blackhawk game. I think you're good.
Yeah, I would think so. I would hope so anyway. So, got a couple college basketball games that they're going to tip off here in a little bit. We got a bunch that obviously they're still going on. Your Xavier, with your head coach that might be moving to Ohio State, Sean Miller, 52-53 over Providence. Providence at the beginning of the year was a strong under team, but now the games are going way over. This one's well on pace. That was 140 and change today. Now it's up to 166.5 with 14.5 minutes left. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. Nebraska, Indiana. That's the one I can't take my eyes off of. Nebraska's up 51-31 at the half. They were 2.5-point dog pre-game. They're 14.5-point favorites right now. The total is up to 162.5. That's where you see some of the misses, right? Like, everybody, we talked about it earlier. I kind of went on a rant about, Vegas knows. You hear that expression a lot. And I had to just put it to rest. I'm like, Vegas doesn't know anything more. The odds maker's job is to know. But as good as the odds makers are when a game falls on the number, or, the odds makers knew that Creighton was going to beat UConn last night. That's why UConn was a short favorite. Well, why wasn't Kansas City favored in the Super Bowl? Why wasn't Kansas City favored in the AFC Championship? Why wasn't Kansas City favored in the divisional playoff game at Buffalo? They won all 3 games, and all we heard for 3 weeks was, how can you bet against Patrick Mahomes? Well, odds makers thought that Patrick Mahomes was going to lose, in those games. So, you always got to remember that Vegas doesn't know anything more or less. That, the guys that make the numbers know a little bit more. That's their job to know. But they're not always right. That's why you play the games. that make any sense to you for somebody who's been in, you've been in this space a long, long time, right? Like it's, there's suspicious lines. There's lines that make you pause, but it's not a line that tells you. I say the lines all tell a story, but the story may be different to you than it is to me,
Right. And the other thing, Dave, is like you remember, everyone says this, all gambling, you remember the losses, you don't remember the wins, right? And that's evident with everybody. And
right.
And there were probably a dozen games tonight. Maybe not a dozen. There were probably a half a dozen, 6, 7 games where I looked at the line and said, boy, that looks like too good to be true. Vandy and Georgia. Now, I know Georgia's not great, but Vandy blows. I mean, they're awful.
Ooh,
that game was pick 'em. I'm like, really pick 'em, right?
Yeah.
So I did play Georgia, and Georgia is leading, by 14 at the half, so that they'll more than likely win that game and cover. But do I remember that one tomorrow? No. I'll remember the Longwood game against UNC Asheville, which was one of the 12 or dozen games or so that I thought, why is this close to pick 'em? So there were about, like I said, 6 or 7, not a dozen, that you had on paper a strong, much better team on the road, and the line was pick 'em, and it'll end up being 3-3. If you pick the ones that all lost, you say, oh, the boys in Vegas, they knew, I got suckered in, blah, blah, But if you pick the games that won, with the right team theoretically, then you say, boy, this was easy, But you remember the negative ones.
You remember, you're going to remember the Longwood one for a while. That one, I know when that one leaves a mark, you're going to look at that and go, boy, what am I thinking? What am I doing? What about this game? Okay, this is in the first half. There's a little less than 10 minutes left. Marquette at home against DePaul. Okay. DePaul is as bad of a team in college basketball as there is. I saw that number this morning. I said, how can this be? You're almost laying 4 touchdowns. Okay. 27.5 in a conference basketball game that doesn't involve Gonzaga. I can't remember a conference basketball game with a team that was that high. More than 20. Usually 20, 21. Okay. 27.5. I just clicked refresh on my thing. It's 33-10 with 9 minutes to go. Marquette. I mean, is there a point, a number where I could talk
Look at the line.
into being interested in DePaul?
Look at the line, too. Look at the line.
That can't be. Does that say 38.5?
30. It was 39.5 a moment ago.
I got 38.5 here. Oh, my goodness gracious.
DePaul hit a 3, so they lowered it to
35.5. What the hell?
Yeah.
I think I would lay it. How many points is DePaul going to score?
That's the problem, right? I mean,
they can't
not
score.
Many. And this is the one thing I always look for, Dave. When you read these lines, if you want to say that, do they bump it up even more, or do they keep it where it is? Like DePaul's up 20, right? So do they keep it at, all right, 28.5, maybe 29.5? Or do they say, you know what, this is going to go even further than we thought. Let's bump it up 10 more points and go even higher than the number was originally. And that's what they've done. They're up 22, and they made it now 37, 38.5. I mean, they think DePaul's win this thing by 40 points. Marquette, rather.
Marquette. Well, it becomes a math problem. You can't.
Right.
If DePaul can't score, like they got 13 points with 8 minutes to go in the first half. So they're going to get to 20. Okay. Are they going to get to 40 for the game? Well, if they get to 40, all Marquette has to do is get to 70, and they cover that initial number. So now you got to stretch it out. You have to move the number. I mean, we might see 40.5 in this basketball game at some point.
Yeah.
Crazy.
How about the over-under? I mean, if DePaul's not going to get to 50, they're giving us an over-under of 160. I mean, is Marquette going to put 110 points on the board? I mean, I don't know how it gets to 161. But
Under?
I'm thinking under. Right?
Under.
95.
Is this one of your
50?
system plays where you take the dog and you take the under? It is
I
crazy.
know, I'm thinking about that too. Yeah. If DePaul can score, let's figure this out. If DePaul scores 50, Marquette would have to score 88 to cover the 37.5. That's still way under. DePaul would have to score 60, and then that would make it 98-60.
They're not scoring 60.
That would still fall under.
They're not scoring 60.
They're not getting. Yeah. They would have to score 64 points or so, and they're not getting that. I would not bet that.
No way. No way.
You could get a double loser. You could.
Sabres final 3-2. Beat the Canadians. Enough of that. That's okay. That's all right. Penn State won.
That's tough.
I'm happy about that.
There you go. You're playing with house money. Penn State won.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, did like
what do you think Cam's coming? What do you think Cam's coming with? He's coming with the golf. He's coming with the Mexican Open. I can't wait to hear that because this is a week where, listen, he talked about it yesterday, and we'll talk to him about it more today. This seems like a wide open tournament with a lot of guys whose names I don't recognize. I don't think the regular casual fan will. Tony Finau's the odds-on favorite, so I'm sure he's going to have some crazy stuff there. I think he's coming with the Edmonton Oilers. I'm gonna go on record, and he's a Toronto Maple Leaf guy. We'll have to hit him with the Matthews stuff because he'll be watching it, sweating it. That's good. We got a lot to talk about. I can't wait.
Yeah, I think he'll be out of New Mexico too. I think he's going to be with the Lobos tonight. Yeah, at the pit against Colorado State. Yeah, Cam Stewart coming up next.
Nikola Jokic is the best player in the NBA until proven otherwise. Like, you have that guy on your team, you win 50 games, it's really that simple.
There is voter fatigue, and I think that is the only thing you have to be careful about when you deal with the NBA is there voter fatigue in regards to who should win the MVP? When you look at the odds, and obviously you get, no Halliburton.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8, right? This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8. 6 you lose, 7 you push, 8 you win. So it's going to come down to the end.
And he missed the 3, and they are not going to foul. They're not going to foul. He just drove and scored, though. Oh, they gave up a dunk with 14.1 to go.
InGame Live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR listed zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
What do we do with the Nets, though? Because this team is hot garbage. Poor Jacques Vaughn. Talk about just wrong place, wrong times.
The reason that they parted ways with Jacques Vaughn in the first place, this is a team that, yes, they had Kyrie and KD at the beginning of the year last year, but they were still a team that made the playoffs. They were still a team that took the game off the 76ers. And going into the All-Star break, they weren't even in the play-in picture.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
It's been to a sporting event. The atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. It is In-Game Live, prime time here on the grid on a Wednesday evening. Scott Wetzel, Dave Sharapan. We got hockey, we got college basketball, we got the Mexico Open starting with our good buddy Cam Stewart, who takes over at the top of the hour, along with Gabe Morency, joining us now. What's going on, Cam? Got a fistful of winners on the golf course, I hope, tonight.
Do I, Scott? I hope so.
Yes.
I always, on Sunday, I'm sitting there going, ooh, I can feel hey, honey. Remember, my girlfriend's like, remember the last time Daniel Berger won? Don't you still owe me a steak dinner? I'm like, I probably do, honey, but remember the losses in between. Like she's got great, very, very meticulous notes when I promise things that I don't deliver. But anyway, Will Zalatoris last week, heartbreak. What are we going to do this week? We go to Mexico. Hopefully the pesos will turn into dollars, right, Scott? You like American money. I don't care. Millions of pesos will just hit the currency exchange. Yes, I will take it as well. Tony Finau, as Dave talked about eloquently before the break, he owns this tournament. What can I say? Won last year, defending champion, second the year before. And it's really interesting to me, guys. Like, if I was a big dog, I'd go, why don't I go to Mexico and try to win $1 million and change, right? Like, it's funny to me, like, how successful these guys are in life. It's like, yeah, I'll just take a week off. I got enough money, my yacht, my life, but Tony Finau seems to not like going to Mexico with the family, and he basically just gets another paycheck and go, hey, honey, guys got 5 kids. Let's feed another one when I'm winning over $1.5 million. So here's the deal. This course is long, long, long. Winds can pick up. So big ball hitters, that's what we're looking for this week. That is the course's defense. Wind, pretty easy greens and stuff, like not too much water or anything dangerous. But guys, we're going to start things off with my boy Thomas Dietrich, the big hitting Belgian. People don't know Dietrich, but he's now from a European tour to an American PGA Tour player and consistently a top 10, top 20 guy. At 25-1, we get a nice price because a lot of the big names are gone. Keith Mitchell, friend of the program, friend of Josh Allen, Bills quarterback, the Pro-Am guy. Keith Mitchell, he's a bomber. Cashmere Keith at 28-1 looks good to me. Eric Von Ruin, we have kind of a message here. European guys, wind players, low ball flight. That's what I'm looking for. Know what, Scott, too? Interesting fact, Eric Von Ruin is from South Africa, but went to the University of Minnesota, the hottest ATS basketball team. Didn't think they had a golf program, but EVR, he gets it done. Jake, afternoon nap at 40-1. Watch out for this guy. He murders the ball. This guy is a big, big hitter. If he hits a couple putts, what's in the cupboard? Mother Hubbard, Mark Hubbard at 50-1. And I have an addiction to Nasty Nate Lashley. He's my guy. When he wins, he'll win at 150-1. Nate, I haven't forgot about you. He'll come third, miss a cut, come second, miss a cut. He's a very erratic person, kind of like me, Wetzel, but at 75-1, Nasty Nate makes the card. Wow. I mean, that was impressive. You got nicknames, you got, those are
you like afternoon nap,
it all.
He comes
Jake
prepared.
Afternoon nap?
I like that.
Yes, I do, Wetzel.
Like
I do my work, my research in the Mexico tournaments.
With that menu,
yes.
Someone new to the golf goes, boy, that's a lot of guys. Is there a way I could bet this, like just maybe surround it like we did last week with the Z guy and the Harris English and all that other stuff? What other bets are for people that maybe new to the golf stuff?
Well, tune in at 10 o'clock. We got Brady Cannon, probably the Las Vegas golfer, one of the best in the business. Basically, anybody, Dave, over 25-1 has to be top 20 as well. But this is what we're going to do with Finau this week. We're going to take him top 10 and I'll lay 20 cents. All he does is finish first or second in this tournament. I don't like the odds at plus 650. If he finishes like 8th, I don't mind paying the juice. I did a show with Carver where he took him plus 200 for top 5. You might want to sprinkle, but I don't like when guys finish 7th, 8th, 9th, and I can't get a paycheck. So I think it's really important when we're just laying basically a little bit of vig, like a college basketball game or a hockey game. 20 cents is fine with me with Tony. And Nikolai Højgaard, I know Brady Cannon likes him outright this week. When Brady's on a guy, so am I. I almost took him at 15-1. I wanted a little bit more. It was between him and Dietrich. I went with Dietrich. But I'm going to tell you something. Højgaard, him and his brother are two of the best young players in the golf world. He will be on the PGA Tour. I would not be surprised if this guy contends in majors. Watch out for the Højgaard brothers. Nikolai is my guy for a top 10 at plus 190. And Frankie Font, let's go hit the top 20 board. We got a couple of guys. Hey, got to have some Canadian content. Pharrell calls me the Prime Minister. Taylor Pendrith, the Canadian, massive hitter. That's what we got this week. All guys who hit it like 320 plus, top of the yards distance. That's guys we're looking for this week. Thomas Dietrich, plus 130. I love my afternoon naps at plus 190. And Cameron Champ is a very interesting guy. He just loves his tournament. Miscut, then he'll show up here. Like, he's just one of these very erratic players, but he likes seaside golf and really thrives in Mexico. He contends every year. So I'll take a flyer with my namesake. I wish I was a champ, Wetzel, but I had Zalatoris, not Hideki last week. Or you can call me Cam Champ instead of Cam second place. Yeah.
There you go. Now, I'm surprised Finau does so well here. I don't envision him as a long guy. Is he a big-time driver on the course? I never knew that.
Very long. Okay, I went to the Canadian Open, and I watched this guy before. When Finau was a rookie, remember, because he played on the mini tours and stuff. I saw him back in the day. I used to go to the Canadian Open every year when he was a young kid, and he was murdering the ball. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? They're like, Tony Finau. He's like some real big prospect. He's going to be great. And then a couple years after that, went to the tour and started winning. This guy, Wetzel, like, honestly, Tony Finau quietly can, like, put it out 340 yards with it, like, and he has really no effort in his swing. If you look at his body type, he's like 6'6". He could have played basketball. No, he's tall. Like, you know what he is? He's tall and lean. Yeah, he's got a wingspan like a condor. He could have played basketball at like Utah State. He's a Mormon, but the thing is, he is a monster. Trust me. Like, when I watch that guy at Augusta, I'm like, oh my God. Like, he towers over guys. He's very big. Dave, you saw him in Vegas. He's a big dude. He's kind of like, in good shape. He's more like, you wouldn't look at him and go, you're a golfer. You look like a different type of athlete. That's the way he looks. He looks like a basketball player. That's what
I
he
was
is.
just going to say, he looks like a power forward.
Isn't he
remember at Augusta when he was celebrating? Like, hey, par 3 contest. He started running.
Okay.
And he still played. That's the thing. Hey, he's not going to limp around. The guy's he's money in the bank. So Tony Finau,
he's tough.
Yeah, he is, Dave. He really is.
He's tough like a hockey player, and that's a perfect transition for hockey for tonight. Toronto is at Arizona, Cam, and Wetzel dove deep. Okay.
Oh, I love Wetzel.
Of course,
I love Wetzel's deep
dives. Of course, it's the Black Cloud play of the night because you can't lay the price to win in regulation. I mean, so instead of 182 just to win, he did the win in regulation. But he went deep with these Austin Matthews props. And is Austin Matthews going to score 1 goal, 2 goals, or a hat trick tonight, Cam? What do you think?
Well, I'll give Wetzel credit, and let's give the guy the old Barry Horowitz pat on the back. He called this Matthews 15 goals, you and him at 8-1 thing. It's not there yet, but that is one of the best bets we put together. You guys, you know what, Wetzel? Kudos to you. This guy's on fire, and he scores in bunches. He's from Arizona. We know that. I think he will get a goal tonight. Listen, juice isn't a bad thing if you got to lay it. Anytime goal, this line, you're right, Dave. I got 125 as well. I just checked my books. People are betting this thing like they got tomorrow's paper. 150, 155, 160. No, I got to draw the line somewhere. I got a good number. Everybody and their mother's on this. If he doesn't score tonight, it's probably because the world's on it. So here's the thing. 2 or more goals at plus 480. That's interesting. But I also like this one, guys. When Toronto plays Arizona, I always find it's tight for a while. And then Austin Matthews, I like the first goal market at plus 480 for first goal of the game. That's what I did with Austin Matthews. So we could do any time at minus 125, but I like first goal as well. It's kind of like the first touchdown in football. I think it's something that we need to do at that price. If we're laying $1.60 for an anytime goal, how about you just get the first one at almost 5-1? That's the way I'm looking at it, Dave. Right?
How about 23-1 for a hat trick?
Oh, Scott.
Right? I mean,
you just can't. No, the thing about you, Wetzel, is you just can't help yourself. Like, you're like me. We're
I don't want to double down. I put like the double black cloud and a 28-1. I know.
can't we just go in for another play, Wetzel? I just busted out my jeans, my belts fell. Oh, no, more. We're never going to get a deal like this again. It's lobster and crab. No, I know you,
He's
Wetzel.
got
But
7 goals in his last 3 games.
you know what?
He's on
It's worth a
fire.
sprinkle.
He's back
Well,
home.
you know what? You put $10-20 on it. Yeah, kind of like a golf bet. Hey, getting a hat trick? No, I got no problem with it. I like keep things simple. Leafs in regulation, Austin Matthews goal plus money. Dave, I just wanted anything plus money, and I don't mind laying the quarter for the anytime goal. That's the way we're going to play this one. I know my buddy, a lot of guys are betting 2 goals tonight and all this stuff. I think my buddy Visine Vince might be, is he here? He's in Vegas, or did he fly to Arizona? I think he might have taken a trip to go to this game to Arizona and then go back to Vegas. That's how hardcore this guy is. Dave. Postal carriers.
What about the big game of the night, Cam?
Yes.
Edmonton's hosting Boston. Looks suspiciously low. Boston loses 5 of 7 on a homestand and heads out to Western Canada for the the Western Canada swing plus Seattle. First game is tonight with McDavid and the Oilers. Got a side or total in this one.
Dave, I don't know. Like, it's like, you know me, like we've been doing shows for a while. Yeah, I like Edmonton. And I know you guys predicted it, but it's a short price. Good call on Colorado last night, Wetzel. You got some hot goaltending there against Vancouver, but Edmonton understands one thing. Boston's the real deal. They're going to come into town. I think McDavid's going to put on a show. Would not be surprised if you do a parlay with him and Matthews scoring a goal, but I like Edmonton at that price. In the dumpster dive game of the night, everyone's going over. I'm going under. I'm taking under 6.5 to plus money, plus 105 in Anaheim, Columbus. Columbus played the Kings last night. I learned something about Anaheim that is very important. They tend to play overs on the road. And when they get home, nice, boring hockey. I see a 3-2 type of game. I don't think we get 7. It's a little bit of a leap of faith. They say bet overs when 2 bad teams get together, but I like the under in Columbus, Anaheim, guys. That's me.
Ducks 9-1 last 10 against Columbus, too.
Really?
How about college basketball? My favorite play, Cam, is UNLV tonight because Air Force is 1-15 their last 16 games. The one win came against UNLV, in which they won by 20-plus, 30-plus points. So I'm thinking UNLV is going to be out for blood tonight. What do you think?
You know what, Scott? I love where your brain's at in this game. It's a revenge spot. I don't know UNLV is going to respond. I'm not a shrink. I'm not a psychiatrist, but I know one thing. Blowing the Fremont Cannon to Nevada, Dave, you're in that backyard. That was brutal. I can't believe they blew that game. They had that game under control, and they lost. I got to expect, if there's any semblance of pride here, they come out, they punch these guys in the face. It's a revenge spot. They got to make up for that loss. I'm with Wetzel. I don't like to lay road points, but I'm going to do it. I'll take UNLV. I'm also looking at Pacific plus 8. I might need my head examined. They're one of the worst ATS teams in college basketball, but I'm not laying 8 with Pepperdine on the road. You think I'm nuts? I'll bet Sahith Tagala and golf from Pepperdine. I'm not betting the damn Waves basketball team. Volleyball, very good at Pepperdine, too. Lots of brains at that school.
Yes.
Lots of very intelligent people.
What about the Pit? What about the Lobos?
Yes, and New Mexico.
How
about a New Mexico? How about a New Mexico Lobo, Sheriff Lobo with the Rebel parlay? Dave, can we get a money line parlay, or do I have to add something to it? Yeah, probably too much juice with the money line there. But you know what? I'm taking the Lobos.
That's a little better than even money. That's a little better.
Yeah,
than even
I'll
money.
take it. I'll take it. I like New Mexico in this spot. Unranked team, laying 7.5 at home. It seems like a lot. Revenge spot. I like the Lobos to win this game by 12-14. Colorado State, a team that I really like as well, but I like the Lobos in the Pit. I think they're going to find a way to get it done at home.
That's a big number, though, right?
It is a big. No, Scott, it's a
man.
huge number. It's a huge number, but I think it's kind of like it's setting. Dave, is it like from the book, from your perspective, bait? You got to give me Colorado State, a ranked team at 7.5. It feels
100%.
baitish to me. I'll take New Mexico and take my chances. That's me. It is a lot of points, and Colorado State's good. Give me the Lobos minus 7.5, guys.
All right, here you go. Cam and Gabe.
Yes.
Top of the hour, right after we finish.
You got
up.
it.
Thanks, Cam.
Nikola Jokic is the best player in the NBA until proven otherwise. Like, you have that guy on your team, you win 50 games, it's really that simple.
There is voter fatigue, and I think that is the only thing you have to be careful about when you deal with the NBA is there voter fatigue in regards to who should win the MVP? When you look at the odds, and obviously you get, no Halliburton.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8, right? This is going to fall 6, 7, or 8. 6 you lose, 7 you push, 8 you win. So it's going to come down to the end.
And he missed the 3, and they are not going to foul. They're not going to foul. He just drove and scored, though. Oh, they gave up a dunk with 14.1 to go.
InGame Live, Prime Time, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
What do we do with the Nets, though? Because this team is hot garbage. Poor Jacques Vaughn. Talk about just wrong place, wrong times.
I mean, the reason that they parted ways with Jacques Vaughn in the first place, this is a team that, yes, they had Kyrie and KD at the beginning of the year last year, but they were still a team that made the playoffs. They were still a team that took the game off the 76ers. And going into the All-Star break, they weren't even in the play-in picture.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
That's been to a sporting event. The atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, it's InGame Live, PrimeTime, wrapping up shop here. Fast little Wednesday 2-hour extravaganza. The New Mexico line, Dave, is now up to 8.5, oh, by the way. Yep. And Marquette by 30 at the half against DePaul. Line is now 40.5, over under 168.5. They can't lose by more than 40 points, can they, when everything is said and done? I mean, every scrub on Marquette's team's going to play in this game, right? I mean, I hate to say DePaul plus 40 is a good bet, but I mean, it's a decent bet, isn't it? Maybe.
It's not a bad bet. It's not a great bet.
Chicago and Marquette, too. A little rivalry there with Milwaukee and Chicago.
Yeah.
Didn't think about that, but not that it's helping.
That used to be a rivalry. Remember when Ray Meyer and Al McGuire were the coaches of the respective schools and stuff like that? Remember that?
Yeah.
That was, me and you remember that. Kids, Google it. There was a big rivalry back in the day, Marquette and DePaul, but not so much now. Nebraska is up 57-44. I think I'd rather much have Nebraska, a piece of that, than trying to chase that DePaul number. So you need one for me on the way out. Watch the hockey. I'm rooting for Austin Matthews. I'll text you when you're on the train ride home when he gets his second goal in the second period. Let's get him 2 tonight. We got to get that 28-1 for the month home. I ain't going to see it until next Tuesday. Hopefully he's got at least 2 more before then.
If he hits that, you won't see me for the next year. We got to get 2. We got we need the hat trick somewhere. We got to get at least 2. I mean, the wife won't see me. No one will see me. That's it. See you later.
Come to Vegas. I'll pick you up.
Come on,
we
Austin.
Won't tell anybody.
Oh man. How does a kid grow up to be an Arizona Coyote fan? Even in Arizona, you'd think Arizona would not tell Toronto, "Here's
I
your
used
whole,
to have
here's my whole
season
roster."
tickets. It was the best. It was the greatest.
Really?
When they moved from Winnipeg, I went to when they were in the playoffs. It was incredible.
They were, yeah. They were actually pretty good that year. So, Dave, have fun the rest of the week, my friend. We'll talk to you next week.
You too.